Hey everybody, this is my fishing bug out bag. I keep it in my truck with me everywhere I go. Um it's got everything you need to catch fish and even to cook it. It also has stuff to boil water, start a fire, and but the primary focus of this bag is to catch fish. I keep it in my truck in case SHTF or just if I wanted to fish somewhere because I have time too, which time's scarce for me these days, but when I do have it, it's nice to be able to throw a lure into the water and catch a fish. It's my favorite pastime. So let's dig into this bag and see what makes it effective in my opinion. And please comment, what you think you'd add to it or take away from it, or what you think about it, or anything. I appreciate your comments. And yeah, so let's run through it real quick here. So I'm gonna try to run through this kit as quickly as I can. I don't want to waste your time. Okay, so I got a clip so I can clip it onto my belt loop or my backpack or whatever, or kayak or whatever I have to hook it to. I also have these little belt loops so I can hook it to my belt. It's just very great for carrying through the woods with you and super easy to carry. So yeah, let's run through all the stuff I keep in here. Let's take a peek inside before I pull stuff out and see how it's organized in there. All right, let's pull it out. Got this guy. She might not know what it is yet. All this stuff. And then the fishing reel has its own little sleeve back here. Keeps it from getting all scratched up. Just makes it look pretty. All right. Boom. There's the fishing reel. And what we have inside here is our fishing lures. A nice little container. And we have a pocket knife. Nice little good knife. This is a buck knife. I think I paid $29 for this. It's a really nice pocket knife. They make this one in two sizes. I got the bigger one. It's a really good knife. You can use it for a million purposes, and I think it'll last a lifetime. Two ways to make fire, and something to boil water in, of course, a little metal cup. You can also chop up fish with the knife and put them in there and cook them over a fire if you don't want to. But if I catch a fish and cook it over a fire, I would just gut it and then cook it over the coals. The easiest way to cook them, to be honest. Two ways to make fire. So a lighter, Bic lighters last forever. You can get them wet, and if you set them out in the sun, they'll work again. They last a really long time, but they don't last forever. So my backup plan to make a fire is a little magnifying glass lens. So I just keep that in this little case. This case actually comes with this reel that I sell right now. So you can use this little bag for other stuff. I use it for my magnifying glass. Because the case that I sell actually has the little divider that can prevent the reel from getting all scratched up. So yeah, this new hand line that I just came out with, it's really simple. There's other reels out there on the market that are very similar to it. This one's a little smaller than what I've seen before. It's got a really ergonomic grip, only 3 finger holes, just enough to really, I could never pull this out of my hand. It's all one part anodized aluminum that was machined into this beautiful shape. It's got a bunch of holes in the back, so you can, when you're not fishing, you can tie your line to one of those holes, or you can put, if you have a lure on it, you can put your lure hook through one of the holes just as you're transporting it. And then when I'm not fishing with it, I just do a little slip knot and put the line onto the reel. I use 8-pound mono. That's what I recommend for this little reel, just because if you're using more than 8-pound, or if you're using braid, if it wraps around your fingers on accident and then a big fish pulls it, it could really mess up your fingers. So I use 8-pound mono or less. Yeah, that's my fishing reel. To cast it, you just spin it and chunk it. It'll go as far as you can lob with some leverage from like spinning it. They really get out there. I do 150 reps of mono on this reel. I don't know how long that is, but it's far enough to cast as far as I can cast lures that I use on this reel, and then some to fight the fish with drag and stuff. Which there's not built-in drag on this reel, obviously, but you can squeeze the line and aim it in casting position, and as the fish is running, it'll fight the fish, and then you continue to wrap it around there. Very effective hand line. I've caught some big fish on this so far. So that's my fishing reel and my survival kit. Let me cover everything else so that we can just focus on the lures for a minute. So we got the 2 ways to make fire. We got a knife. We got a way to boil water. We got everything, something to contain it all in one place and hook it to us. So the fishing lures, what I would probably need in a survival situation is little hooks that I could find grubs or worms for and go fishing with them. But I have a bunch of fake stuff in here too that can catch fish in a survival situation. So of course, lots of jig heads in different sizes. Heavier jig heads go further, but in a shallow creek, a small jig head makes sense so it doesn't sink to the bottom too quickly. And maybe you can catch big fish on little jigs, but jigs are great. I got a couple different kinds. I just picked these up at Academy recently. They're really nice. I've caught a lot of little green sunfish on this one, and I've caught some bass on this one, so I just picked up a new color. Really cool brown ones. So I keep those little jigs in there. Little bobber if I need it, a little float. This little grasshopper lure, I don't really use that much, but I think it just looks cool. But I haven't had much luck with that ever. But I do have a lot of luck with rooster tails, which are both stuck to the grasshopper. Rooster tails are very effective on these hand lines. You can reel them in just fast enough to yield this action and to make the lure not sit on the bottom and catch. Of course, you're just reeling it in, and it's got a blade around the middle that's spinning. And these things kind of float. They're easy to fish with on the hand line. And then lastly, I like to catch bass. So I live in Texas. There's a lot of largemouth bass here. So just some soft plastics. My favorite soft plastic for bass is just a standard black finesse worm. This one's from Zoom. They're pretty good. I like to fish weightless with the Texas rig. So these specific Zoom lures, they sink just fast enough to work without a weight. But yeah, you can, if they sunk a little faster, it'd be nicer, but they work. You can catch a lot of fish on those. You can catch fish on blackworms anywhere. Then I have some smaller soft plastics, little Zoom, I think they're Zoom or they're Yum lizards, but any little lizards that you can get are good. And then I just separate these with a bag from the other worms so they don't lose their color. I want those to stay black. I want these to stay green pumpkin or whatever it's called. And of course, for like worm hooks, I just have a bunch of different size worm hooks, because if I'm going for a big bass, I can hook a big chonky hook, and if I'm going for a little bass or a little fish, I can have a smaller type of hook. And then of course, I keep one bait hook with me in case I ever find like a crawfish or something I can hook onto here, but that's all I keep in there, and that serves my purposes for catching bass. I also fish for carp sometimes, so I have some little carp hooks in here, and my favorite bait to use on them is a small piece of white bread balled up on that tiny little hook, and I can catch a huge carp that would feed me for like a couple days. So yeah, or feed a lot of people with just one fish in a survival situation. But anyways, that's it. And then I'll pack it away real quick here again to show how easy it is to load up. This fits right in here, and all this stuff fits in here. And then I take the reel, put it in this little compartment to protect it from getting all scratched up. Then I take the cup, throw it in here, and then my magnifying glass, just slide it in here, and I throw this in my glove box in my truck, but when I go on a hike, I can just hook this to my belt loop and I can go catch some big fish wherever I am. Shop now at rodlessreel.com.